He says that William was really tipsy at this point, and they were all at Clarence house at the eve of the wedding. And the streets were lined with people who were camping, and it was revelry, and everyone was hoping to be in the streets in the morning when the wedding came. And William looks out the window and he's like, I want to go down to those people. Like, they're all here to celebrate me, and I want to go out to them. And Harry's looking at him like, well, you are incredibly wasted, so maybe don't go. And William's like, I'm going, and you're coming with me. And Harry claims that William was begging him to come. So Harry's like, I could see in his eyes that the rum was really hitting hard. He needed a wingman. Painfully familiar role for me, but all right. He's just always so preyed upon. Why is everyone always taking advantage of him? So he says they go out to the street. Everyone is just overjoyed for William, overjoyed for Catherine. It's just this outpouring of love. And here we get a classic Harry response. He says, they gave us both the same teary smiles, the same looks of fondness and pity that they did way back in 1997. I couldn't help but shake my head. Here it was, the eve of Willie's big day, one of the happiest of his life, and there was simply no avoiding the echoes of his worst day, our worst day. It's like, Harry, why are you seeing it that way? Why are you choosing to be like, oh, these people are rubbing our face in the fact that our mom's dead? No, they're not. It's just that they've watched you grow up, and they're so proud of the men that you're becoming, at least one of you. And it's like there is this parental warmth that these people feel towards you. In the same way that your dad probably looked at William and thought, oh, I wish that Diana had been here to see him and to see this man that is becoming this beautiful woman that is going to be his wife. It's like, why are you looking at it in such a negative way? What does it do for you? How do you get through life with such a weight on your back? Okay, so he says that he looked at William and he's like, this guy is wasted. Like, look at his face. It's bright red. We got to get this guy back into the house. So he drags William back in. They go their separate ways. It's just been very emotional, and they're also very drunk. And so it's like, let's go to bed. So he says the next day, he comes to pick William up. I was shocked when I went to collect him in the morning. He looked as if he hadn't slept a wink. His face was gaunt and his eyes were red. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. But he wasn't. He was wearing his bright red uniform of the Irish Guards, not his household cavalry frock coat uniform, and I wondered if that was the matter. He'd asked Granny if he could wear his household cavalry kit, and she turned him down. And as the heir, he must wear the #1 ceremonial, she declared. William was glum at having so little to say in what he wore to get married, at having his autonomy taken from him on such an occasion. He told me several times that he felt frustrated. Okay, but if he told you that, it was in confidence. So why are you taking this little bit of information that he gave you and just putting it in your book like it's none of your business to say that? Even if he was frustrated, even if he did feel like he was kicking up a little against the hierarchy that wanted him to do certain things, and even if he did feel disappointed because he would have preferred to wear his household cavalry frock or whatever, that's not your story to tell. It's not your story to tell if he was frustrated with Granny, although I doubt that he was. How could he have ever thought he was going to wear anything but that? Just because he asked for permission to do something else doesn't mean he ever thought he was going to get permission to do it. I don't think that he's sitting over there nursing his wounds over there like you are all the day long. This would have blown you out of the water if somebody told you you couldn't wear what you wanted to wear. But I don't think that William has ever looked at his life as though it's a series of choices that he's going to get to make all the time for himself. He knows his role. He's never bucked against it. So if he said, I think one time he could have said to Harry, oh, it's too bad I asked her if I could wear, what I wanted, and she said no. So anyway, that's too bad. It could have been as much of, like, that could have been the conversation. And then Harry's over there like, he can't get past it, and that's why he stayed up all night. That's why he looked so bad, because he was so upset about what he was going to wear to his own wedding. What guy is that worried about it? I think no guy is staying up all night long being like, I really wanted to wear something else to my wedding. I think I'll just choose not to sleep and look like trash. They get into the Bentley and they drive on, and he says, as the car pulled away, I broke the silence. You reek! The aftermath of last night's rum. I jokingly cracked a window and pinched my nose, offered him some mints. The corners of his mouth bent slightly downward. Okay, you are going to tell me that your brother is about to marry Catherine Middleton. And he is going to arrive at this royal event not having bothered to brush his teeth? That he is rolled out of bed, groggy-eyed, reeking of rum, tugging on his uniform, staggering to the car, pumping himself down, tears streaming down his cheeks because he can't wear what he wants to wear, but he's got to do it. Like, this whole picture is completely and totally a lie. He did not show up to his wedding with last night's rum on his breath. Get out of here with that. Do you not know that we all watched the wedding? He did not look like he just got off a bender. Come on. Okay, so he says that they pull up to Westminster Abbey. Nothing like getting married in the same place where your mom died. Oh, man. Okay, well, Harry, it's called life. And why are you looking at it this way? Isn't it a beautiful thing that you could replace sorrow with joy? That at the same place where you had laid your mother to rest, you could now come in and ring in joy and new adventures and new life. And I just don't understand looking at it that way. Why are you choosing? And then he goes on this long jag about Westminster Abbey's the worst anyway, because you're sitting on top of all these dead people crammed under the pews and in the walls. It's a real weird place to be in the first place. Why do you want to get married at such a cemetery? And it's like, but that is the beauty of life. Like, we each have our time on this earth. And it's like, what? I don't understand. Like, why would you look at it that way? Here, it's like, it's almost like you are surrounded by all of these greats in English history are there to attend every big moment in the history as it continues to progress and to move forward. Like, it's a beautiful picture. It's like, who can separate us? That we will continue through this together. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of a really beautiful thing that it's not only just those on this earth, but also in the next. They're together, you and the saints together. I don't know. I think it's a beautiful idea. And I don't understand why he's choosing to see it in such bleak terms. But he doesn't seem to be able to look at life any other way. Then he goes, between these thoughts of mummy and death and my frostbitten penis, I was in danger of becoming as anxious as the groom. I'm like, are you joking here? I don't know. He says he tried to lighten the mood and joke with William, who seemed really sort of jumpy and anxious, and he just couldn't seem to cut through all that anxiety, so he gave up trying. Then he says that he can't remember anything about the wedding. Like, whatever. Kate looked good. That's all he knows. And he says that he really liked her. She was more like a sister to him than just a sister-in-law. Like, he felt like she was a sister that they had never had. But he says, but in my gut, I couldn't help feeling that this was yet another farewell under this horrid roof. And it's like, you always have said to us that William kept you at arm's length. That there was that one glimmer of brotherhood when you guys lived together during flight training. But other than that, William has always been your arch nemesis. He's never cared about you. He's always held you at arm's length. So what do you care if he gets married and you never see him again? How does that change anything for you? It won't change anything for you because you say he's never loved you anyway. And then he's like, I felt the same way when Paul married Camilla, because of course I knew I'd never see him again, and I never see him anymore. And now I was never going to see William. And a wedding's nice, they say, but really all it is a low-key funeral. He says a low-key funeral. Who even says that? What an American term. Then he goes on to say that the thing that just was terrible about the whole thing is that he had become accustomed to having somebody by his side, and that he was losing that. And all I can think is, okay, well, when exactly was this that William was by your side? You've made an enormous point about the fact that he never was. So why are you pretending that you are so hurt and that you are so rejected in this moment? You can't tell us two things. You might be this thick, but we aren't. We remembered like 3 pages back when you were saying that William never cared about you. Anyway, he goes on to tell about how he hadn't been allowed to give any long speeches because he wasn't really the best man, but they did allow him to speak for 2 minutes. And in that 2 minutes, he proceeded to tell everybody about how somebody had sent Kate a little ermine thong that they had fashioned out of a couple of animals that they had found. And he had it there to show. And I'm like, well, no wonder nobody let you speak. What in the world? And he ended it with a couple of words about how much he wished that his mother could have been there and how much she would have loved William and Catherine's love story. And he's like, I made sure not to look at Paul and Camille when I said that. Like, he's really sticking it to them. I'm sure they're thinking the same thing. I'm sure they would love it if Diana had been present to see the wedding, to be at the wedding of her son. You're not sticking to anybody to be like, that I mentioned her right in Paul and Camilla's presence. Okay. Big whoop.